aka Padders. Welcome to day lucky 13 of the 31 Days of Dread. That's right, 3113. That's what day we're in. We're talking 1984 Frankenweenie, Tim Burton short film, To Get Fired. I'll explain. Let's go. Welcome back, my ghouls and ghosts, my fans of Tim Burton. We haven't paid enough attention to Tim Burton in this entire podcast, but this is his entry to cinema, to film, him becoming a master storyteller. It's all laid out right here with Frankenweenie, a little tiny short film made by Disney in the hopes of just launching a career, nurturing a career, and producing content and ideas that will come to fruition as the years to come. But that didn't quite happen with the 1984 Frankenweenie short film. I'm your host. Welcome. I am Peter A. DeLuca, aka Pad, the Film Buff, and this is my show. This is my podcast. I do it solo because I just want to sit down with all of you and talk to you about movies, talk to you about all the things I love, and I love horror movies. And this is the 31 Days of Dread. Every year, every October, I go crazy. I try and watch as many films as I can. I study as many films as I can. I research. I pull my hair out. I am watching movies last minute. I'm watching movies months ahead, rewatching them, recording. It's madness. It's not just the 31 Days of Dread. 31 Days of Dread is prep work for the entire year. And this year, I wanted it to be a little bit more diverse, like I was in previous year. Last year, all you know that the theme was 2022. 2022, the greatest year in horror, I believe, in the history of the world. It's shocking to me that commentators never picked this up. But with all of that said, people, you guys know Tim Burton. I mean, Beetlejuice, Batman, Big Fish. Last year we did Wednesday. Wednesday blew me away. Holy crap, and made a star out of that Wednesday girl. What's her name? I forget her name already. But Tim Burton is so interesting when we go to horror because he does horror looking things, and he does horror shots in his movies and moods and sequences, and he, you know, when we sit down to watch Frankenweenie, which later became a stop-and-go animated movie directed by him, distributed by Disney, and that's very ironic. We will touch on that very soon. But Tim Burton clearly pays homage to the horror films of past. He clearly pays homage to actually what Frankenstein is, like the meat of the story of Frankenstein. And we have a movie called Frankenweenie. We have a major studio backing a short film. And we have guys like Daniel Stern. You know him. You know Daniel Stern from Home Alone. We have Shelley Duvall. You know her from Shining. And we have Barrett Oliver from Daryl, if you're familiar with him. And he was a premier child actor for this day. This movie is so well personified, or the short film is so well personified, shot in black and white. We watch it and it's there and it's unfolding, and we can't imagine anything being different, anything shifting, anything not already being there. Meaning the casting works, the sequence of the shots work, the editing works, the look of the movie works, the solutions to the problems of the production is here. All the solutions work. We have Frankenweenie. He's a dog, just like Spud McKenzie. And you know, the dog has a tragic death. The kid brings the dog back to life, and the family owns up to it. They have a discussion at dinner of saying, what are the implications of this? We have to discuss you bringing our dog back to life. And the dog comes back as normal. It doesn't come back as evil. We're not doing Pet Sematary over here. The dog gets misunderstood. We have a finale at the windmill or the wheelhouse, right? It's a windmill at the end of Frankenstein. We have a dog that is accused of potentially harming someone. The dog saves the boy at the end of the movie, and the entire town rallies together. This is incredible storytelling here, people. The town rallies together and uses their cars to shock the dog back to life. They use the power of their cars to do. People, it is amazing. It's awesome. This short film is available on Disney Plus, and everything I just described to you got Tim Burton fired from Disney. There's a little bit of the intertwining of love-hate with Tim Burton and Disney. He's recently said that he would, after his experience with the movie Dumbo, which I love, by the way. I love his Dumbo remake. He said he dislikes the studio, never worked for the studio again. And we know Tim Burton had friction being an animator for Black Cauldron. Maybe that was for a while Disney's most underrated. There is a little bit of a appreciation or cult that came up around Black Cauldron that really gives it props, and that's because some of the lost footage or lost ideas, or there's a potential other version of that movie that could have existed that really fascinates people. But Tim Burton had trouble with Black Cauldron, had trouble animating with Fox and the Hound. Gets to make a short film, gets fired, but later comes back and gives them A Nightmare Before Christmas. Maybe, when it comes from everything we have today, Nightmare is on par merchandise-wise with Lion King, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Frozen. Nightmare's merchandise sells year-round throughout the park, throughout all of their licensing partners. But again, Nightmare was made by Columbia, right? Columbia Pictures, not exactly Disney, later to be folded into the Disney branding once that film really got a life of its own through the early 2000s. The rise of Nightmare Before Christmas, sorry, I may have been saying Nightmare on Elm Street, but Nightmare, you guys knew what I meant, but Nightmare Before Christmas really changed everything when it comes to movies having a second act or a second run of appreciation. And Tim Burton is just behind. He's behind some of these fantastic, insanely visual, insanely pleasing movies. And he just doesn't get enough credit for some of his later movies like Big Eyes or Big Fish. It's astounding to me. He didn't even get a lot of credit for Wednesday. And Wednesday, I believe at one time, was Netflix's most streamed show or fastest streaming show. I believe. I may be incorrect. But Wednesday took the world by storm, and Tim Burton gets zero credit as Netflix takes over streaming and somewhat of the entertainment news cycle. You know, people are dropping YouTube channels of the rise and fall of Tim Burton. Tim Burton's failed Superman movie became a legend because of, again, the possibilities of it. So he's really a part of two movies that people are more into but didn't get made versus what did. To me, he is a legendary force. He is a creator that you should do nothing but pay attention to. His horror, you see it in Sleepy Hollow. You see it in Sweeney Todd. You see his humor. And this might be the greatest short film I've ever seen. Because it's so captivating. It's so much fun. There's one gag that I keep thinking about, and I always tell people about, is when our boy here, Victor Frankenstein, that's the kid's name, as he's nursing his dog back to health, or the new dog, we'll call it, back to health, the dog drinks water, and the water leaks from his head because the head is sewn. And the head was off, and it is sewn onto the dog. And it's a wonderful, dumb gag, but it works so well, and it brings a reality to everything that the boy just did. I think this movie's there. I've been wanting to do a run of short films that became major motion pictures. Short films like there's one for Tooth Fairy, there's one for Mama. I believe last year we did Piggy. I believe Piggy was a short film. I've been wanting to compile a list and then, start pairing them. Like sit down with you, talk about the short film. Evil Dead being another one, and then talk about what that film became or what that short film became. But this one's great. And tomorrow we're going to do Frankenweenie, full feature. So we're going to do the stop and go animated Frankenweenie. Now previously I mentioned we were going to do like a Tim Burton stop and go animation double feature with Corpse Bride and Frankenweenie. But let's just do Frankenweenie 1 and 2 and jump into something else. But I would like to cycle back. The funny part now is that we're going to have 4 straight films for 31 Days of Dread that detail animal pet resurrection, and technically if I wanted to throw in the next 2, well, that would just make it 8, make it 6. We can just keep going with animal resurrection, but no, I don't want to beat you guys down with too much of a dedication to one of these threads. I did that in previous years, and I feel like it hurt the flow. So I haven't decided what we're going to do post Frankenweenie. We'll talk about that tomorrow, but this is available, and I welcome all of you to commit to this exercise. Sit down, watch Frankenweenie 1984 on Disney Plus, and then watch years later Tim Burton get rehired to make a stop and go full feature or animated Frankenweenie, and it gets rehired by Disney after getting fired by Disney for that very movie, that very content, and we'll discuss it. This and the full feature are very close to one another, and the full feature has so many elements that I just love and adore because it sells. It's so much fun. AKAPAD here, guys. I want to say the first short film for 31 Days of Dread, the 1984 Frankenweenie, is a must watch. It is maybe the greatest short film ever made. Let's go.